Hi guys, I'm live. I just want to talk for a minute. Uh, I'm. This is uh, one last talk about the David Roth thing before I hear whether or not I still have the gig. LOL. Um, but I think I wanted to say one more thing and just address this one more time. I won't go on about it, and hopefully I get the gig or keep the gig. But I just want to talk about the drama of it for a second. I tend to be very dramatic. It's just part of my nature. I often say things under that I don't that I can basically say almost anything and not even mean it, depending on how I feel or what's going, what triggered me or whatever. But having said that, I needed to get that off my chest for some reason. I do think I'm the better guitarist between me and Kai, but I did not mean to say it in such a rude way, and especially under a false assumption that he'd gotten the gig. I apologize for my, but shame on the person that wrote that comment but do your thing. I shouldn't have listened. I should have just said there's no evidence for that. I should have checked it out. I should have thought about it better. But you got my goat. But what were you trying to do? I don't know. But whatever. And I needed another thing I needed to do was just clear the channel between me and music and the audience. I needed to get just all that comparison that I was doing between me and Steve Vai, and don't ever talk about Eddie Van Halen, but there's an unsaid, unspoken comparison there too, even if I don't talk about it or can't talk about it. And I guess that was frustrating me. But when I got it all out, I did the ego thing. David Lee Roth and I both said "F you" to each other, not at the same time, but you get it. It just got that out of my system. The music is first. Let the playing speak for itself. Don't go on. And any attitude you have is only going to make you nervous. And I got that out of my system, so I'm not nervous anymore. And I needed that. I needed to not be nervous if I'm going to tour with David Lee Roth. I didn't. If until I got that out of my system, I'd have always been thinking, well, will I blow it tonight? How am I sounding? But I got that out of my system. I needed that, and I know it came out in a negative way, and it was dramatic, but I needed that, and I don't, and I would. I don't have to do it again, and I wouldn't have gotten that without doing it. So it's a one-time thing. I got that out of my system, and then the other thing is. A final thing, I think, but a third thing is that I think I needed to square off with David Lee Roth, even though I didn't mean, for my part, I didn't mean any harm, but I needed to just get that off my chest too. I'm literally going to be in the tour bus with the guy. I'm literally going to spar with him in martial arts. He's going to teach me a few moves probably, and I'll love to. That'll be great. But I had to get that screw you out of my system, off my chest. So when I do spar with him, it'll be a pure channel. It won't be like I'm secretly thinking, well, what about him? Does he like me? Am I even good? And what if I, and all that tension, we just squared off and got it out. And now if I spar with him, it'll be pure, energy, straight channel to the divine and inspiration and intuition and all that. That channel will be a lot clearer now that I got that out of my system and cleared that too. As a case in point, an anecdote. I don't know if I've said this on my channel before. Maybe I have. I don't know. My dad had a Navy SEAL friend from his Navy days named Al Newman. And he had a daughter named Lori that liked me from 4th grade to the end of high school. And I never said anything to her about liking her back because I knew her dad was going to end me or something. I was just afraid. And more than that, I was even afraid of what her brothers, Ron and John, would think of me. I didn't want to admit to Ron and John, who were like, Ron was supposed to be my best friend. I like your sister. It just felt awkward. And not only that, her dad come in, whatever. I never told her that I liked her, even though I did. She actually would cry sometimes. I'm just trying to get you to like me. And I just had to keep it to myself that I liked her too. But that's not why I brought this up. The John brother of Lori was overweight and big, and he was a little older anyway. But Ron and I are about the same age, born like 3 months apart. And Ron, I was like 90 pounds soaking wet, and Ron was like 130. So he had like 40 pounds on me, but I was quick. So even though this guy's basically my best friend when I was a kid, because their dads knew each other from the Navy, but we would go out in the front yard and just beat the crap out of each other. I swear, I mean that. It was my speed versus his strength and bigness, and versus my speed, and we would just go out there in the front yard and beat each other up and come back and go, "That was a nice shot, Ron." Yeah, you did. You too, Jimmie. See you next time. And then we went right back to being best friends. But we got shit off our chest and tensions that we both had Navy SEAL dads, and whatever else was going on, we just got it out by just pounding each other in the front yard. And at the end of the day, we were just friends again. And I kind of needed to do that with David Roth. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I shouldn't have, but maybe I needed that. Maybe I needed to just, if I'm going to spar with a guy, if I'm going to tour with a guy, if I'm going to be on stage with a guy, I've got to clear the air on every possible thing. It's only going to come up again if I don't. So I apologize. I didn't mean it the way I meant it. I didn't mean it the way it came out. But at the end of the day, I think it was necessary, and hopefully didn't lose me the gig. But that's no longer my choice. I've done what I can. It wasn't my choice anyway, but it's out of my hands, is what I'm trying to say. I just hope that, David, I hope you get that. I hope you see that I got some good out of it, and therefore I think it was necessary and it had a purpose, but I'm not going to do it again. And I'm also very much more cautious about whatever I read in my comments after being fooled like that. I don't know. I get it. Yeah, the guy's laughing all the way, laughing, how I got Jimmie, but I have Asperger's, and I think of things literally, and I take things as I see them. And when I read something like that, I don't filter it very well like a non-Aspie person would do. But yet that helps me with my art too, because I also don't filter my music. It's like a superpower, and it's also a kryptonite at the same time. In some situations, like social things and whatever, reading people, it's a kryptonite. But in terms of art and just being myself and being unique, it's a superpower. But I have both. I'm not saying I'm Superman, but even Superman had his kryptonite. He wasn't almighty. He had his kryptonite too, and my kryptonite is the negative side of my Asperger. So I apologize. Well, someone just called me and hung up. Anyway, I don't know who that was then. They didn't say. But and just to make it all good, even if for some reason I blew it and all that, I learned from the experience. I learned, just like I just told you, I made some progress with myself. I got the ego thing off my chest, like I said in one of my videos. I got the ego thing off my chest. And if I play with David now, there won't be nerves. There won't be anxiety, anticipation, because I'm just going to play the music straight out from here. I'm not going to worry about, how did I play that lick, or what would Steve Vai think, or how does Eddie feel, or whatever he is. Pure channel, just David Roth, me, my guitar, the audience. And that wasn't true before. I was going to have this pretense before I got this off my chest. I was going to have this pre-gig jitters and wondering how's it going to appear for me? How are they going to think of me? And will I measure up? And will I be whatever? But I don't feel that now. I just feel like I did the ego thing, and I realize it for what it is. It's nonsense. The music comes first. Let the audience decide whether I kicked ass or not decide myself. Am I kicking ass, and who thinks that, and who doesn't? I needed that, but I'm sorry that I came off that way, David. I didn't mean what I was saying, but something inside me needed to do that, and now I don't have to, and I won't again. So hopefully you still think that, hopefully I didn't wound everybody so bad that I'm out of the band. If I am, I accept it and I understand it. But really, I think it's a goal. Even a pearl takes great effort for the what is it called, the oyster to make. It starts out as a literally hand in an oyster's shell, but after all the stuff that the oyster has to go through, it becomes a pearl. I mean, I'm sorry, but you don't get something for nothing. And the lesson I learned from this confrontation with David Lee Roth, it really, we can all learn from this, take it for what it is, and go on and really take advantage of this. Because until this happened, I would have always been nervous before every gig, David. I would have been like, I would have been second guessing myself, comparing myself in my head, whether I say it or not, to who and who and who. And I got that off my chest. I checked my ego at the time. I love you guys. Peace, rock and roll.